Hi, I'm Marsha Stevens-Pino. Welcome to Southern Gospel Sissy. The late 80s and early 90s were a devastating time for the LGBTQ+ community. It felt like death was everywhere. One by one, we lost so many friends to AIDS, it was like trying to hold back the tide with your bare hands. I remember feeling like I was already saying goodbye to every gay man I ever knew. There was so much grief that it got hard to keep track of. Who'd been diagnosed? Who hadn't? Who was scared? Who was hiding it? And then one day someone told me that a friend of mine had died. And I remember the thought that went through my head. Oh dear, not him too. I was horrified with myself that I could respond to something so sacred, so final, with that kind of numbness. It was like somebody told me my wife had been killed by a truck, and instead of falling apart, I just shook my head and said, "Aw, those darn trucks." How had I gotten so jaded, so tired, so detached? But the truth is, how can we carry that much grief and still survive it? The song didn't come to me until a little later when a dear friend of mine was moving from California to Canada. This was long before Facebook, and I figured I'd probably never see her again. I hugged her tight, and in a light-hearted moment I said, "Save 1,000 years in heaven for me, we'll catch up." And that's when it hit me. We're not like those who have no hope. We know the author of hope. All the goodbyes I never got to say, the funerals I missed, the stitches I sewed into that great AIDS memorial quilt, none of it took away my hope. In sermons about heaven, Reverend Troy Perry, the founder of Metropolitan Community Churches, used to tell us over and over again, "Everybody remember where to meet!" And that's when the song found me.
Boundaries of time and space, boundaries of fears, boundaries of promises kept for all these years, boundaries that keep me from the ones I long to know. But there is a boundless place where you and I will go. Save 1,000 years in heaven for me, I will meet you there. Time for every gentle whisper, every answered prayer. Maybe time was just too short, or my needs were just too great, but I'll meet you just beyond the eastern gate. Each of us on different roads, seeking what is right. Not all things are possible in this lonely night, but the land of promises is coming into view. Land of love and timelessness that I can spend with you. Save 1,000 years in heaven for me, I will meet you there. Time to mend each broken promise, time to really care. Maybe life was just too short, or I was just too late, but I'll meet you just beyond the eastern gate. Save 1,000 years in heaven for me, I will meet you there. Time for every love requited, every answer prayer. Maybe time was just too short, or my was just too short, but I will not be late. I'll meet you just beyond the eastern gate.